What is it?
Deep within the Amazon rainforest, a mysterious creature lurks. Notoriously elusive, this cave-dwelling giant hairy monster leaves a trail of broken trees and trampled ferns in its wake. With no predators to speak of, the Mapinguari's fearsome strength is matched by its pungent odor. Appearing predominantly
What the? How'd you like to run into that on your hike, on your nightly hike?
in the traditions of the peoples of Brazil,
Dude, it doesn't have to eat. It just has to lay on top of you belly first. And it can start digesting you right there. Just straight into its belly. Why has it even got a mouth?
Mapinguari seeks vengeance against those who hunt and harvest the flora and fauna of its home. Those it deems
Hunts and harvests those who harvest the flora and fauna of its home. You know.
Violators of the sacred spaces of the rainforest.
So don't harvest its home, is what it's trying to say.
The Amazon claims unparalleled biodiversity on our globe and demands a heightened level of protection. So is the Mapinguari real, mythical, or somewhere in between? I'm Dr. Emily Zarka, and this is Monstrum.
This is cool. Has anyone ever seen this YouTube channel before? Monstrum? Might have to watch more of this. Look, they got werewolves, centaurs, Loch Ness, trolls, siren head. They got everything, chat. Just let me know what you want to see next. Alright.
Of massive size, great strength, and possessing a distinctive foul smell, the hairy creature roars with
Both these artworks are completely different.
great ferocity from its shortened horse-like muzzle. The Mapinguari may have 2 eyes or only one in the center of its forehead, and a mouth in the center of its stomach. It usually roams the rainforest on all 4s, but eyewitnesses also claim that it can walk bipedally. When standing on its hind legs, the Mapinguari can reach anywhere between 3 to 6 meters in height.
How long is 3 to 6 meters in American? Foot. This thing stands 11 foot tall.
Adorning all 4 giant anteater-like paws are large
Could you
hooked
imagine
claws
running
like
into
those
that?
of a
I could
giant
take it.
armadillo that curl inwards or backward. It also has some pretty impressive chompers, including 4 huge canine teeth protruding
It's sideways.
from its mouth. Color variations range from reddish to brown to black, and it has a short tail.
Get out of here.
While the Mapinguari prefers a vegetarian diet, it will feast on livestock and humans that violate its habitat. It kills by ripping the legs and arms off its prey before eating them. For the particularly bad offenders,
Holy crap! Imagine, dude. Imagine. It's so like you're like this big compared to it. He just reaches down, arm, leg, and then just deposits you directly into your stomach.
that pillage the forest with greed? In the most brutal accounts, the creature devours the victim slowly, starting with the head and proceeding leisurely. The hard
Do you think it's just a hole, or can he like chew with it? Or it's just a hole?
skin of the Mapinguari may resemble the skin of an alligator or a turtle's shell, but regardless of appearance, it's virtually impenetrable to weapons. Another weak point, its belly button. Few get the chance to try to kill the monster. Depending on the source, its horrific odor
Bro, my belly button's my weak point. If anyone touches that thing, I'm freaking out. I'm leaving. Goodbye. Don't touch my belly button, dude.
or supernatural abilities disorient would-be hunters. Those that might get a lucky shot off may not even be able to get near enough to verify the kill, because the smell emanating from the remains is so foul it cannot be tolerated by even those with the strongest stomachs.
Dang.
The first tales of the
Think
Mapinguari
he
come
just
from the
rubs himself
indigenous
in
peoples of
poo-poo?
the Amazon basin, where legends of forest creatures abound. In the Amazon, across the states of Rondônia, Amazonas, Acre, and Para, the Mapinguari is part of folklore and reported in eyewitness accounts.
Yeah, so remind me never to go to South America if that's where that thing resides. Ain't no way. But they do have like thick jungles down there, I think. Brazilian jungle. Yeah, that's a place for a Mapinguari. Yeah, that's a place that would go.
Brazil is home to more than about 300 indigenous groups with great linguistic diversity. With upwards of 150 languages across so many communities, it's typical to find variations in this monster's name or story.
It is difficult to be sure about the etymology of the name Mapinguari, but the main
He said it
assumption
different.
is that it comes from the
He said it wrong.
Tupi-Guarani
I know he's
indigenous
native,
language,
but he said it wrong.
meaning a thing with the twisted feet, or that who has a twisted feet.
That's Dr. Andrioli Costa, folklore researcher and consultant. He's an expert in Brazilian folklore and a great storyteller to boot.
The first reports of the Mapinguari myth date from the turn of the 20th century and coinciding with the rubber cycle in the Amazon. And it's precisely among the rubber tappers where we find some of the oldest stories about the Mapinguari.
Other monsters share
Mapinguari.
characteristics with the Mapinguari, like the
Mapinguari.
Segamai, an
She's
herbivore
saying
about
it
the
wrong,
size
bro.
of a cow with matted fur who can walk on all fours or its back two legs,
Right.
emits a blood-curdling roar, and cannot be harmed by regular weapons, but has a snout more like that of a giant anteater.
Okay, so are
Then
they just
there's the
explaining
protective
extinct
Curupira.
animals?
The feet, which we mentioned earlier, are sometimes turned backward.
Yo, that'd be freaky. Imagine someone runs up on you and their feet are backwards, and you notice that right before they just kill you. Ugh, look at your look at the
like
fingers.
the Brazilian Curupira and other forest beings who use this strategy to confuse their pursuers, and others, which are the most common.
Oh, they put the feet on backwards. Maybe it was like a tribe, and they put the like backwards feet shoes. So when they're moving this way, the enemy thinks they're actually moving that way. If you know what I'm saying.
They say the footprints of the Mapinguari are round, like the hand of a pestle or a bottle, or the bottom of a
Why is it showing this footprint? That's obviously not round, like the bottom of a pestle
bottle,
or bottom
like
of a bottle.
another Brazilian myth called
Sweet.
bottle foot. Mapinguari has a vertical, gigantic mouth in its abdomen, a very similar mouth to another myth, the Kibungo, a
the
traditional
Kibungo.
narrative among the enslaved.
This is on his back,
in
so he's still
Brazil.
lay on his back to each other.
The difference is that the Kibungo's mouth is in the back. There are stories in which the Mapinguari
What do you think? Do you think these originate out of some sort of truth, or just strictly to scare kids from going out in the jungle at night?
has
Something to
both eyes,
ponder over.
but often they say it has only one, which
One eye.
underlines its bestiality.
Blech.
The one eye, the
Disgusting.
cyclopic
Don't look at
eye,
me with that big ol' eye. Can't you just
refers
shoot it in
to
the eye and
bestiality,
win?
the uncontrolled violence of those who cannot distinguish right and wrong.
It's tempting to use the similarities of the Mapinguari myth across regional traditions.
Yeah, dude, I would just shoot it in the eye. If it picks me up to rip my limbs off, limb by limb. Poof, poof. But actually, if he's like 11 foot tall, his eye is probably like bigger than your head. You know? Actually, you're probably not even gonna get close to that. 11 foot tall. I need something to compare that to. Man versus 11 foot. Is there a diagram? Images. 11 foot wheels. If these are 11 foot wheels, yeah, let's just say he's like 6 foot, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, that's about 11 foot, won't you say? So he's standing up here. I mean, if he's chasing you and he trips and falls on you, you're still in his stomach. Directly deposited. Oh, no.
To connect the
Stop
creature
that.
to an animal, one that lived not so long ago, or even one still alive today. This is where the most popular and notorious rationalization for the Mapinguari comes into play.
Okay,
The giant
rationalization.
sloth theory, which
How do you confuse a giant sloth for that grotesque beast? Right? You can't do that.
claims the
That's
Mapinguari
crazy.
and other
This is a
similar
crazy
creatures
connection.
are folkloric interpretations of a real but long extinct animal. Though in the spirit of other elusive monsters, there are some people who chase legends to prove their existence. In the 19th century, written claims emerged from South America proclaiming that members of the Mylodontidae ground sloth family, believed to be extinct, were
Mylodontidae.
actually alive and well. Argentinian paleontologist Florentino Ameghino publicly asserted he believed giant ground sloths still lived in the Patagonia region. Even in the 21st century, the Mapinguari is
Yeah, some
the
people say
ground
like dinosaurs are still alive in Patagonia or whatever. There's like a book written about it. Like my chemistry teacher in high school was trying to get me to read Dinosaurs in Patagonia. Book about dinosaurs in South America. What was it called? Horizon Book. Age of Dinosaurs. Comprehensive overview focusing on the regions. The Lost World. Wait, that's not a movie, that's about a book. Science fiction novel by British writer Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, 1912, concerning an expedition to a plateau in the Amazon basin of South America where prehistoric animals will survive. It was originally published. Wait, so is this real life or no? Is the Lost World book fiction? Yeah, it's science fiction. Oh, that's the dinosaur, the Jurassic Park books. That's cool. Apparently they're like a lot more gruesome than the movies, is what they say. Alright, let's go. Let's go back to the video.
sloth theory is enthusiastically supported.
See, that doesn't look anything like a ground sloth. And how do they get the belly on the mouth on its belly?
Perhaps no more publicly than biologist and ornithologist Dr. David Oren. Oren has
Ornithologist?
dedicated a large portion of his life to proving
What's
the
that?
continued existence of
like
prehistoric
birds?
ground sloths.
Ornithologist. Yeah, I was right. Because I'm a genius.
He asserts
Sorry.
that the monster is the result of cultural memories combined with present-day living ground sloth encounters, most likely a relative of the Mylodontidae family. Some of the hunters Oren talked to said they had even killed members of this subset of the Xenarthran clade species themselves. On one of
Why'd you
Oren's
kill that
excursions, a
thing?
dung sample thought to be evidence of the creature was
I
collected.
mean, anteaters honestly look majestical AF. Like, they almost look like a mythological creature. Or
Using
something.
DNA analysis, a lab proved the true owner of the scat, an arboreal anteater. Science doesn't necessarily explain all of the first-hand accounts or hundreds of years of narratives.
At Wayfair, we're game for every
Wayfair,
style.
you got just what I
Let's
need.
play charades.
Not for me,
There
though.
are two problems with those answers. The first is that if the link between fossils and myths were that old, we would already have records of Mapinguari before the 19th century,
Mapinguari.
the 20th century, and we haven't. The second one is that it's extremely problematic and colonialist to condition the belief of so many populations to the scientific validation, as if they were allowed to believe in the Mapinguari because the Megatheria existed. No, we cannot reduce Mapinguari to the giant sloth. To do so is to ignore the entire symbolic framework that runs through the myth. The name is very important to understand the myth. For example, we find two possible names for Mapinguari-like creatures. Kidaharara, which means Lothian beast, a probable reference to its mouth, and Owojo, meaning maternal grandfather. That's very interesting.
How you gonna see that creature and be like, yeah, that's my maternal grandfather. That's just my grandpa. It's my mom's dad. You tell me they look at this thing. Hold up. They look at this thing in the forest and they, hey, don't worry, that's just my maternal grandfather. Don't worry about it. That's crazy. How you
Interesting
how do you get
because
that?
to think of the Mapinguari as a grandfather is to recognize it as an equal, as a relative, as one of them.
Like the European
Weird
colonizers
reasoning, but
and
okay.
travelers who once influenced these stories, Western audiences and internet folklore sleuths today have blurred the lines between these supernatural monsters and their indigenous symbolism. While not necessarily done with ill intent, it's important to keep in mind that the original Mapinguari tales hold the greatest significance.
Okay.
I would invite you to understand Mapinguari as a representation of the atavic fear of what dehumanizes us, of what makes us monstrous, bestial, blind to the
horrifying.
suffering inflicted to the others, blind to the castration of our actions and desires. In the end, however, the weak point, the belly button, will always be there to remind us that under all that leather, shell, fur that makes us insensitive, there is the human being.
Y'all think they was thinking like that when they made up this thing? I don't know. That's a little deep.
Can be assessed again.
If we take a close
know,
look
maybe.
at all of the Mapinguari stories from various indigenous communities in Brazil, there is a consistent theme. The creature's purpose is to protect the rainforest.
What face cam about
For
that? I
thousands
hope
of
the whole-
years, the
whole stream
abundance
wasn't
of
blurry.
riches within this natural resource has sustained the people
So
of the
annoying.
region.
It is the expensive camera too. Like,
The existence of a scary monster set out to protect it makes sense. The Mapinguari avenges its home from trespassers, hunters, and greedy consumers alike.
that's fair. We need more Mapinguaris in America. Not gonna lie.
And if the Mapinguari's fearsome presence can help save this significant resource, another monster has served its purpose. Mylodon Tide. Tide?
Sweet. That's pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting. Not going to lie. Chad, what'd you think about the Mapinguari?